What's up, everybody? Brian Edwards, MajorWager.com. Let's break down Auburn's replacement for Gus Malzahn being Bryan Harsin from Boise State in what was a pretty big surprise. When did that go down? On the 23rd of December, if I'm not mistaken. So this was, as you know, it's a silly season. You never know what's going to happen. And this coaching search looked like it was going to run off the train tracks really quick, really early. And it had the makings of Tennessee 2007, circa 2017 all over again. It really, really did. I mean, the excuse me, the initial uh, odds from offshore books was that Hugh Freeze was the favorite. I did my video. I thought, if you're Auburn, be Auburn. I mean, it was so odd that they seemingly didn't want anything to do with Hugh Freeze. I found that baffling and hilarious. I mean, be yourself, Auburn. I mean, everybody knows what Auburn is. Auburn doesn't care about morals. Auburn cares about victories and winning Iron Bowls and not having to play the little brother role to Alabama, which, to Gus Malzahn's credit, they haven't had. I mean, until they got beat a month ago, they had won 2 out of the last 3 Iron Bowls. Even despite, this dynastic and then some natty collecting reign under Nick Saban. So it was just nuts to me that they would pay a $21 million buyout, including more than half of it, more than 10 that's due to Gus in like 2 weeks. The initial odds, like I said, were Hugh Freeze. Then later that day, they moved to Cristobal as the favorite at Oregon, who has been an assistant at Alabama, has great, South Florida recruiting connections and really recruiting connections, obviously, in the Northwest, in the state of Alabama. He was Saban's recruiting coordinator for multiple classes, of which I'm sure were all in the top 2 or 3. I mean, which Alabama recruiting class hasn't been in the last decade and change. But so then later that day, and I guess, when did Gus get fired? Either on a Sunday or it was on a Sunday. So I think it was this Monday that I'm referring to when the odds came out, and then all of a sudden there were reports. I think it was Brandon Marcello, that you know this big group of boosters and like at least one major donor was pushing really hard for Kevin Steele to be the head coach, which was hilarious to me. Now, has Kevin Steele been a really good DC for Auburn over the last 5 years? He damn sure has. He really has been really good as a DC. He was a head coach once. I think I'm getting my years right. I think it was 99 to 02 at Baylor. 4 years, 9-36 overall, but 1-31 against the Big 12. So he was obviously beating up on some scrub teams, probably some FCS teams, or back then, what do we call them? D2, Division 2 teams, or 1AA, one of those. So hiring him, now the narrative around it was like that Gus's whole staff is due like 30 million. So, excuse me, the narrative around it was if you retain Steele and he retains a lot of that staff, then you're probably saving about 10 mil, and you could probably make Steele one of the lower paid coaches in the SEC. So you're saving a lot of money. By the way, I haven't seen the contract numbers for Harsin. I don't even know if they're out there. But anywho, so so there's just Kevin Steele, narrative. He's going to get hired, and that it's going to happen pretty quick. That was out there for like 24 to 48 hours, and the fan base was in an uproar. I mean, you thought they would have been pissed if Gus was retained. They were doubly pissed about this. I mean, hashtag stop Steele going around on Twitter. they were going nuts, berserk. You can't hire this guy. I mean, it was similar to what I was going through when Foley hired Ron Zook and McElwain. And that was brutal. Um, and then they're apparently not even interested in Hugh Freeze. So they go out, after whatever. And Allen Greene, the AD, according to how the story's been told by some beat reporters and some national writers, um, basically it was the good old boy network of Auburn boosters they just wanted Steele so they could have another puppet. They wanted to be able to know what's going on with Auburn football 24/7. And if it means going 7-5 or 8-4, but them having an end to what's going on, they prefer that than to have like a Saban who's like, beat it, all you boosters, go away. You got nothing. I'm running this program, okay? And I don't know. That's just how some people at Auburn, they want to have their say. The Bobby Louder type crowd, although I'm pretty sure Bobby Louder's broken, not in that mix, but he certainly was like the chairman of that mix of high level boosters, a decade and 2 decades ago, and for many moons. So then they go to Billy Napier, who is, a hot name out there. And he's obviously a good coach, but I mean, I judge coaches when a lot of times when their clock management screw ups. And by the way, my man Dan Mullen had some enormous ones a couple of weeks ago in Atlanta. But I've seen Billy Napier coach games. He's got terrible clock management, but he knows how to run a program, and he's doing very, very well at UL. It's been reported that he had a job offer and he turned it down. Now, Bill Clark at UAB would have been just as bad as Kevin Steele as a hire in my mind. Now, has Bill Clark done an incredible job at UAB? Of course he has. He's done awesome. But there's Conference USA and there's big boy football, uh, uh, a little south of Beham and Auburn and T-Town. And that was just, apparently he had 2 interviews. I don't think he got a job offer. He pulled his name from consideration. There were reports that, he wanted full autonomy with the hiring of his assistants, and apparently they weren't willing to give that. As more time passes, I kind of think that might have just kind of been a little smokescreen, while Allen Greene was, doing work out west. Now, whether he was out there during the Mountain West Conference Championship weekend. I don't know. When they lost to San Jose State, I don't know. That game was in Vegas, right? Yeah, because San Jose State would have been at home. Yeah, and so, maybe they were out there talking to Cristobal or whatever. We don't know, but I mean, as it was the day after Clark or Napier turned it down in the afternoon, early afternoon. I was on the way to the airport in Atlanta on a Monday afternoon. Clark pulled his name from consideration later that night. Then early Tuesday, Brandon Marcello, who's a national writer for either 24/7 or Rivals, I'm not sure, but he was a longtime Auburn beat writer for many, many months, at least a decade, I want to say. So even though he's a national writer, he's obviously on top of Auburn. So he reports. This was it was while I was watching the Tulane out in, ironically, out on the Smurf turf in Boise. Tulane and whoever I lost to. Who the hell were they playing? I've I've erased it from my memory because it was a tough beat. Uh, anyhow, yeah. I know what I was going to say. So Harsin, Brandon Marcello reports that Auburn's finally reached out to Hugh Freeze. And it's like, what the hell took so long? And I'm still of the opinion that Tennessee may still fire Jeremy Pruitt, and that Freeze will be their target. And Auburn was a little late in the game with that, so I don't know if that was another smokescreen, if they talk to him. I don't know. But within like an hour and a half of that report, boom, it was done. Bryan Harsin is the new head coach. My quick hit reaction was solid hire. The more I think about it, I mean, I think I'll give it a B plus, maybe even. Man, yeah, I mean, I'm tempted to say A minus. The guy is 44 years old. He went 69-19 at Boise, 7 seasons, multiple 12-win seasons. Let's see. He won the Mountain West Conference 3 times. He lost in the championship game twice. Um, they have had double-digit win totals every year, except for one when they only won 9. They went 9-4. And let's also consider, well, this is twofold. One, he did inherit a good situation from Chris Peterson, although I believe Chris Peterson's worst season was his last year there. In fact, I'll probably have that on my Boise State page here. Bear with me. Peterson. Oh gosh, yeah, it was 8-5 that last year. So it was maybe starting to trend downward, at least compared to. I mean, I feel like Peterson won at least 11 games every other year. Um, But so he inherited a pretty good situation, but not quite how Peterson had it rolling with the Kellen Moore days. And by the way, Moore is a prime candidate. He's been in the NFL. I don't know if he's with the Cowboys anymore, but he was with Jason Garrett and the Cowboys there for a while. And he played for them. But 2 points. Harsin has kept it rolling, which is impressive. And you don't want to be the guy that replaces the man. You don't want to be Ron Zook replacing Spurrier. You don't want to be Ray Perkins replacing Bear Bryant. You don't want to be whoever it is going to replace Nick Saban eventually, and the sooner the better, if you ask me. You want to be the man that replaces the man that replaced the man. Okay, you want to be the guy that replaces Zook, Urban Meyer. You want to be the guy that replaces Ray Perkins. And by the way, Ray Perkins passed away recently. Rest in peace. And you want to be, and who replaced Ray Perkins? Gene Stallings. Okay, so that's who you want to be. But Harsin was the man that replaced the man. Still thrived at Boise. He was also at Arkansas State and went 7-5 and won the Sun Belt. So the dude can coach, and he's only 44, and he's already got 8 years of head coaching experience. Now, the one minus in my mind is recruiting the South, which he hasn't really done that much. Now, he did, obviously, the 1 year at Arkansas State, and before he took the Arkansas State job, he was the co-OC and quarterbacks coach for Mac Brown at Texas. So only for 2 seasons, though. So 3 seasons he recruited the South. But you know what? I mean, look, Auburn's a national brand. He's got tons of recruiting connections, obviously in Texas and California and the Northwest. And maybe, you can get the world's getting smaller with the internet these days, obviously, or it's been going on for decades. But, you can pull kids from California to come play in the SEC. And look, in Alabama and in the South, I mean, Auburn recruits itself. I mean, they've got some of the best facilities, some of the best tradition, fan base, all that. You have everything you want to win big in Auburn, and I think Harsin can do that. I think it's a solid hire. I'm going to stick with a B plus rather than an A minus, just out of a little bit of concern for lack of familiarity with the SEC and not. And we'll see who he gets on his staff. I believe if Steele will stay, I think he'll probably retain him. And it's going to be critical to get guys that aren't necessarily from his Boise State staff, although I'm sure he'll bring a few, but, get guys that are big-time recruiters in the South. But all in all, considering it could have been Kevin Steele and his 1-31 Big 12 record, it could have been maybe Bill Clark, and even, I prefer Harsin and Napier as well. Now, do I think Hugh Freeze should have been their main target? You damn right I do, and that's what I said on the video about this coaching search initially, but it's not. It is Bryan Harsin, Bryan with a Y, which is not a good sign, but I think it is a good hire, And we'll see how it works out. Harsin to Auburn, Bryan Edwards, MajorWager.com. Over now.